Um, we're running up on our next to last session, I think, of the conference, and I told Oksana that I need the weekend to process. I don't know about everybody else. Really need some time to sort of chew on all of the great ideas that have been presented. Oksana is going to talk about Nearpod and uses for Nearpod. If you were at Robbie's keynote yesterday, she briefly talked about Nearpod. There have been some Nearpod discussions going on here and there, and Oksana is going to take it a step further. So this is Oksana Wasilik, and via Skype, she'll be joined later by Maria Kuznetsova, yeah?
Kuznetsova, yeah, and Maria is already here.
Oh.
She's right on Skype.
Oh, hi,
yeah,
Maria.
So
Sorry, I didn't realize. All right. So take it away, Oksana.
Yes.
Let's see.
Thank you, Meg.
Yeah.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate that you all came after the lunch on Friday afternoon, and I understand that we have to keep you entertained, so we'll try our best. And I'm really grateful to Robbie that she mentioned Nearpod yesterday during the presentation, and my understanding is that that's what she used for building her presentation, yesterday presentation. She used Nearpod. Remember when she mentioned that, she said that she built her presentation on her iPhone, so I guess that's what she did. So what is Nearpod? So Nearpod is a cloud-based presentation tool, and if you look at Nearpod, it has little pieces that are similar to different software products that have been on the market. So it's a presentation tool, so you can see similarities with PowerPoint, you can see similarities with Keynote app that some of you may be using on your iPads. So it also has some interactive activities built in, so in this way it's similar to Poll Everywhere, so it allows you polling, it allows you to build in a quiz or an open-ended question. It also allows more than that. So when we found this app, we were very excited to test it, and actually it was my educational faculty who came to me and asked me to train them on using Nearpod. I guess they saw it somewhere at the conference and they wanted to learn how to use it. So we think it has a lot of potential. It's becoming more and more popular on the market. So it combines presentation, interaction, and assessment. And I will talk a little bit about assessment after we present the Nearpod. And right now I will play the video. And by the way, I'm using the Nearpod here for the presentation. And those of you who have digital devices, I encourage you to take them out and go to nearpod.com and nearpod.com, and you can see it here written down, how to spell nearpod.com, and then just use this pin, M as in Mary, X, you can see it here in the top right corner, M as in Mary, X, W, J, I. And you can follow, and I will be running your presentation, so you can experience it from a student perspective. And you can also see how it looks from the instructor's perspective. And if I open this little thing here, this little arrow, you can see that I can advance through my slides. If you decided to join my presentation, I can see who is joining me here. You see Maria has joined my presentation. I just clicked on this little green icon right here in the top left corner, and I can see other students as well once they join. So M as in Mary, X, W, J, I.
And you can mention that if they have an Apple device or Android tablet, they can get a Nearpod app?
Yeah, I will mention later. Let's just do it through the browser right now because it will take some time to download an app. Yeah, so I'm going to advance through the slides. So I see that some students have joined. They're joining my session slowly, so you guys joining. You don't have to. So the next thing that I wanted to do, I'm going to play a video that gives a short introduction to what Nearpod is all about. Let me move Maria somewhere here.
Getting started with your Nearpod experience. Launch the Nearpod app from the instructor's device and sign in using your Nearpod username and password. From the My Library page, select a presentation and tap on the Launch button to start it. Your students can now launch the Nearpod app from their devices and enter the session PIN number as displayed on the instructor's device. Each student can then sign into the session, and the student list on the instructor's device is automatically updated when they press Submit. Now you're in control of your Nearpod session, so just swipe to the next slide. Swipe to another slide or easily navigate around your presentation using the thumbnails. Share a video,
You've probably wondered where they get names for hurricanes. Well,
or share a web page that students can navigate at their own pace. With Nearpod, you can easily execute assessment activities such as interactive question and answer slides, polls, quizzes, or free text activities. To learn more about Nearpod, including how to get started, creating presentations and more, please join us for one of our free webinars, details of which can be found on nearpod.com.
So that's a short introduction to the Nearpod.
Webinars, details of which...
So let's advance further. And you can notice that in the video they controlled the Nearpod presentation from an iPad. So you can use different digital devices. You can use your own computer, or you can use a tablet computer, or you can use even your smartphone to control your presentation. So it's very flexible. So I wanted just to explain to you how we decided to start using Nearpod. So first of all, I had a lot of faculty who were coming to me, and I'm an instructional technology specialist at UW-Casper, which is, UW-Casper is the only branch campus UW has in Wyoming. So the faculty were coming to me and asking how they can make their presentations more interactive. And so some of them saw this app that has been used at different conferences, so we decided to try it. And we also had some issues with video conferencing courses that I taught from Casper through the state. And so we needed some kind of backup system where we can take all the digital content and put it somewhere else, away from the video conferencing system. So in case if things do not work well on our video conference, we can the instructor can still continue with the presentation. And so it looked like Nearpod was a good fit for us. And my co-presenter Maria was actually testing this. She was the first one to test it as a backup system for the video conferencing over this summer. And this semester we have already 3 faculty who are using it as a video conference backup. So it's growing in popularity. And of course, our education faculty were very interested in learning how to use it, because Nearpod seems to be very popular in K-12. So they wanted to teach their pre-service teachers about this app as well. So just a little bit overview of what Nearpod allows to do. So as far as the presentation side, you can upload content from different places. So you can create a slide from scratch. And this is a very limiting option. You can see what I did. And so you cannot choose backgrounds. You cannot choose where you put text. It's just very limiting. But it's there. Then you can also upload files. It could be video, audio, or your PowerPoint that you've designed some time ago or specifically for this presentation. And then you can upload the entire PowerPoint there and then just add activities later in between the slides where you want them to be added. You can also add the web content, so a web page, so that you can direct your students to navigate through the web page. It could be one of the activities, so we treat it as both content and activity. And then you can also add a Twitter feed, which is also similar to adding a web content, a web page, but it's a separate option that is available there too. And the next piece of the presentation is the interactive activity. And so as far as the activity, you can have a quiz created, you can create a poll, an open-ended question, a website that I mentioned before, and also a Droid tool. So you have a pretty good variety here. And so the next thing that we're going to do is going to be a demo. So you need to exit if you're following the presentation, my presentation right now, please exit it. And Maria is going to do another presentation, also in Neopod. So it's just a little sample of what she's doing in her psychology class. So Maria, do you want to take over?
Okay. Yes. Can you announce or show to them the code? It's G as in good, F as in fox, W as in work, Z as in zebra, and Y as in, I don't know, why.
Can you just send it over Skype for us, please, right now, and I will just share it on the screen?
E, F, W, Z, Y.
Do we have it? Can everyone see it here? Right here, G as in Jeffrey, F as in fox, W, Z as in zebra, Y. So if you want, please follow this, and I will also go and follow this presentation too, so that you can follow it in a different browser. Just a second.
I see 6 people.
Okay, I will join you too. Just give me a minute.
I can share a screen for a minute. It's very big letters.
No,
No?
don't share the screen, no.
It's called cognitive transitions.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, cognitive transition. So that's the session. So I'm going to sign up.
Yeah, I usually ask students, please put your name and last name initial, so I know who is present there if we're doing a live session. And of course, if they're doing it as a homework assignment, for example, if technology fails, if I get sick, the weather is bad, they can do it self-paced and on their own. So of course, when they're doing it on their own, and for me to track their participation, they have to make sure that they send their names in. So for the purposes of this presentation, you don't have to do it, but you can practice. Then I'll give them a few minutes. So, and then I'll move in. The best way to upload your slides, and you'll see one slide that ended up being crooked because I didn't know it was one of my first presentations I was preparing this summer. And I noticed that the slides wouldn't quite upload the same way, the formatting wouldn't be kept. You know, pictures would block the words and so on. But then I experiment with PDF. If you convert your PowerPoint presentation into PDF as one slide at a time, it uploads the same way. All the formatting keeps being the same. You know, and of course in class I would go through the slides and talk about my stuff. And of course I wouldn't be going so fast. I would not be boring you with all of those things. Okay. And then eventually we get to an activity. Well, for example, I wanted to demonstrate the video. And with video conferencing classes, I can't really show them YouTube videos. They keep telling me it will be choppy, it won't work. And so then I ask them, and usually there will be sites with just one student, and I would mute my site, because usually at Casper we have more than one student, we have plenty of students. And at other sites, you can either use headphones if they don't want to, you know, circle around one computer and watch the video together, or yes, then they can use it individually. Of course, if they're by themselves, they can just watch it on their device. So then they'll watch this brief YouTube videos, and we'll have a discussion about that. Again, I will not make you watch this video unless you really want to. Then we'll move on about the criticisms. Okay, we'll have all sorts of other activities, studies. And then finally, we get to the quiz. And again, I usually have 2 or 3 questions somewhere in the middle of the class, usually by the end of the first hour, because I have, it's 3-hour-long classes, so you can imagine. It gets tiring, and especially if it's late at night. And then, of course, after hearing everything, it's a great, immediate formative feedback to me to see how well they were really listening to me, or how well they understood everything that was presented to them. And then eventually, you know, I get this data.
Do you want us to go and take the quiz? Just let's go and take
Yeah,
the quiz.
you can just guess it, because then I'll show to you that I can share the results with them. And it's all anonymous. It shows to me, of course, I know who answered how. And I can see where the students are doing well or not so well. Maybe something I need to go back to, right? You can guess, just do guesses because, yes, we usually go through the content. And then eventually, I see somebody got to the right answer. And eventually I'll be sharing
Do the random thing, Karen.
Yeah, just randomly. Don't really.
I chose number ones. You can go with number twos.
Well, questions too are actually being answered by some people correctly, very well. Yeah. And then what I do, yeah, I give them a few minutes. Usually about a minute per question, so about 3 minutes. And then I'll do share. Can you see the responses now?
We can see only our response, that I responded incorrectly to everything.
Yeah, and can you see the correct response now?
Just a second. Oh, I exited the presentation. You see, it can be confusing. I need to go back.
Questions?
Do you need the pin again?
Yeah, I think I have the pin. Just give me a minute. Just a second. Yeah, that's my answer that I see. Oh,
Okay. I have a quick question. You were talking about how you could upload the slideshow as a PDF, and then the quiz. Is the quiz something that you brought in separately from the slideshow?
yes. The
Okay.
quiz is created as an activity, so it's a separate thing.
Okay.
So, yeah,
And-
the PDFs are like a content kind of side of it for the
Right.
presentation. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you have, the slideshow, and then you stop. You have a quiz, and then you have more slideshow. Can you insert the quiz between two different slides, or do you
Yes.
upload a separate slideshow?
Yes, you can insert it between the two separate slides.
That's powerful.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
And the key to that, what I learned, if you do browse and upload the slide, it does not work. It loads them all out as one bulk of slides. But if you drag the slides, the PDF version of slides, they all show up separately, and that's what I do. I then insert activities in between slides. That's usually how I do it.
Maria, the only thing that I've noticed that we haven't noticed before, and I don't know if you've noticed that with students, that I cannot see the results of the entire class. I just see my own results.
Well,
that I
and
have.
I want you to see, I guess if I really want to share with them, well, I noticed that only 19%, because I have the data on my end, only 19% of you understood. Usually I don't have such low numbers. So let's look at the difficult questions. Let's go back and see what's going on here, right? Yes, indeed, overall data doesn't show to me, but on the poll, it will show you the overall data. On your devices, it shows you individual data.
Right. So as an instructor, you will see the entire class results, and you can actually probe and see where your students are not understanding you. So this is kind of great for formative feedback, so that you will know right away where your students need to get more help. Maybe you need to go and talk more about something, about that question where everyone is having this common misunderstanding. So I think it's a great tool that allows you this on-the-fly assessment.
Yeah, because on my end, it shows me the data. Okay, should we move on?
Yes, I think.
Then I'll move on with my things. Okay, and then you see I have an open-ended question. And students can send like quick responses, whatever comes to their mind.
Yeah. And so.
And then what I can do, I can share one by one what students send in. And it's all anonymous, so the students will see other students' responses, but they will not know who sent it. So I can, for example, start sharing. We have 2 responses. That's good enough for demonstration. Oh, we actually have more. So I'm sharing.
Oh, great.
And I can do sharing one at a time. So you can see, and again, we can continue discussion. I'll share it with them. It's like, well, we see the common theme here, or maybe we don't see a common theme here. And it just promotes some more discussions. And this way, again, everyone is encouraged to say something. Even if they're shy or if they're at a distance, we have issues with hearing them and so on. Okay?
Okay. We have about 10 minutes left.
Yes, that's what I figured. Okay, then this is an example of the poll where students will vote, and that's when I share the results, you will see the percentages.
Okay, you again choose and click send, yeah.
Just quick, yeah. 30 minutes is not enough on Nearpod to show all the cool tools about Nearpod.
Right.
And here I'll show the results. You can see the percentages now, right?
Yes, we can see that.
Yeah. So with the poll, it also promotes another discussion. Oh, here's an example. This is when I uploaded, when I didn't transfer it into PDF. You see, the picture blocked the text. So it's important to transfer it into PDF so all the formatting is being kept.
Okay.
Okay. And here I had website activity. I would ask them to go on the website and complete this.
So you just click and then the website is
Yes,
opening
and
in a
go
separate
to-
window, and then you can have some kind of assignment for the students that
Yes.
whatever you decide them to do on that website.
Based on this website, they'll go explore. And that's it. And then we'll conclude with another quiz, just to see.
Yeah, let's conclude with a quiz because I want us to have the report.
Sure. And I have another information about
Okay.
this. Did you really want to take the quiz? Okay.
No, I didn't take a quiz. You advanced too fast. I'm going to randomize it different way now. Okay.
And I'll share the results.
Okay, incorrect. That strategy didn't work either.
Guessing. Well, we have
Okay.
somebody who keeps giving some good answers. That's
Right,
awesome.
people probably who think about the answers. Okay.
Okay. And that's it. And then I just conclude with what we do next time.
Yes, so we're concluding with this presentation so that Maria gave, and we're going back to our original presentation in Nearpod. So let me talk now a little bit about additional features that Nearpod provides other than the presentation tools and the interactive activities. So the cool thing that you can have access to is called reports feature. So you saw that there were students in that session. So right now, let's go and log in. I will log in to Maria's account. Oh, here. I need to probably close the browser. I will just sign in, just a second. No. No, sign up, sign in.
Wait.
But then I'm trying to sign in, and I cannot see where I can sign in this browser. This is one of the confusing things about Nearpod. That sometimes you do not know sign up with Google. You have already.
Or I can do screen share from mine if.
Just a second.
Okay, sure.
I was trying to. I think the login is just taking me straight. I just need. I think I need to close the browser. I think, and then reopen it. That's the problem that I'm having here. Just a second.
Yeah, you kind of have to get used to Nearpod. It's just different interface.
I'll just go back. Nope, it still remembers me. I'll go to a different browser. So I'm going to a different browser
Well, you
to
have to
be
be.
able to sign in into the account as Maria because I need to be there as her. Just a second to show the report, and I will sign in with my Nearpod account. You can have different options to sign in. You can use your Google account or you can use your Facebook account. I usually don't like to share my Facebook or Google information with the third parties, so I do not use that. So as administrator for the Neopod for UW Casper, what I can do, I can go and log in as any of my users. So if I go and then I go to my school account, I can see all my users who are using Neopod, and I can impersonate one of them. And so right now I am acting as Maria, and you can see that there is a report. I went to reports, and I can see the report from this session. And if I go into this report, is this from today? No, it's not from today.
The first one, demonstration.
Is it from here? Yeah, it's from here. Yep, the demonstration is from here. And so I can see which students were there, how they scored on different activities. If I want to go and see it at the quiz, to look at the quiz answers, I can actually see what each student answered to that quiz by just clicking on quiz and clicking on the question that I want to see. So let's say here, you see, I can see that my students were answering in a particular way. Then with the poll, I can see the poll results too. So it's pretty handy. And then you can also download this report in either PDF or CSV files. So this is also pretty good. And you can also share it. So there is a share option everywhere there. So this is about the report feature with Neopod. So the next feature that I wanted to talk about, and I showed a little bit, that this, just a second, this class management feature. Right now here I can see that I have 15 people logged in into my presentation, but no one is actually in the presentation. You see everyone is in red, so you are obviously browsing something else. I can see that if once you'll be coming back, oh, some people are here in green. You see those are people who are still browsing my slides. So I can always tell, hey, Cody, you know, come back. Yeah, so this is also great potential. And then there is a great asynchronous tool, built-in tool, that is called homework. And so the homework allows you to share this presentation with all the activities outside your classroom. So in case of the weather is bad or the classes got canceled or you need to go to the conference, you can send that PIN number to your students, and they can access this slideshow with all the interactive features and go through this on their own, and then you can still access all the information about their success via the report feature. So I think it's pretty nice to have everything in one place. So advantages that we found with Neopod, it's cross-platform. It's really great. So you can access it through the browser. You can also access it through the app, either for Apple or Google Play or Windows Store. So there are apps available. You can access it through the computer, through a desktop computer, through a laptop, through any digital device. It's free for the students. This app is free for the students, and it can be free at the beginning for the teacher. I will talk a little bit more about this. And then I think interactivity is a great advantage for this tool. Maria, do you see any other advantages?
Yeah, and I think it's a good backup plan if something...
Yeah, and it's a great backup plan too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So as far as limitations, it requires steady online connections, especially if you're planning to play videos. Anything that requires fast internet. What's going on? Just a second.
Oksana,
Maybe.
time's up.
Oh, time's up, sorry.
Yep.
And then there is some limitation with the design, and then you have to actually pay for it if you want to have every feature. And I will show you, like, here is what you have, like, so you can have the silver plan. Our school has school edition plan right now for 6 users. So they do not give you pricing here. It's about $120 per user per year. So $10 per month. So if you want to use it. Thank you for coming to the session. If you have any additional questions about Neopod, I will be happy to address them.
Thank you, Oksana.
Thank you, Maria. What happened here? Something has happened here. Oh, here, okay. I think I just scrolled too fast. Okay, I'm disconnecting with you, okay?
Where did I put that cord? Probably not practice. Probably maybe 10 minutes, but not. I'm sure you'll be good, or you'll be fine. But yeah, we can definitely. I'll find. I'll look. Thank you. Okay. Why is that stuck? Cool. We were pretty well set up. So, hi. Oh, awesome. Certainly. So I have you go ahead and plug it into this USB drive here. And it's just a PowerPoint? Do you have sound in your PowerPoint? No? Okay. Awesome.
It'll be a PowerPoint, and then we would also
Okay, cool.
and I have a computer too if it's easier.
That's,
What browser does do you have?
I have Firefox, Chrome, and Safari.
Chrome would be perfect.
Perfect. Great. Okay, so
I might open it and then log in so that when I get to that
go right
one
ahead. Jeff, you just want to go ahead and. Do you know how to use a Mac? I assume.
Oh
everyone-
gosh, well not really to be
Oh.
honest. I do GIS, so I have to. I'm
Oh, so you
PC
have to use
obligate.
PC. I see. Okay.
So, but I'll try.
Probably prefers it though,
What's that? But this
So
is
you probably-
better. Oh.
Oh, this is definitely.
Oh,
better.
prefer the PC. Do you want me to just drag it onto the desktop?
Yeah, yeah, perfect. See, oh, this is not. I want you to switch.
Well, I prefer because I know how to use it,
yeah. There you go.
which helps.
What will mic setup be for this one?
I think we have two presenters.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, we're co-presenting. Yep.
So, can we have one of you here and give the other one of you a handheld wireless mic? Will that work?
Actually, I think we'll both be using the computer to advance and navigate around, so maybe we can just both use this.
Certainly. Certainly.
that
That
work?
works. Yeah, works for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Does this guy have a mouse? Only because, or
It doesn't have a mouse, but I can give you a clicker to present or to forward, or you can use the forward or space bars to advance
Okay.
slides.
I'm.
And there'll be a wireless microphone if you want to hand it out.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me
that's okay.
unplug that.
Oh, that's okay.
And we'll change that screen resolution when we.
Chrome.
Okay, and so you're going to log on here.
So I'm gonna need to be logged on here, and then I'm interacting with an online map application.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and plug this projector in, make sure we have the right resolution.
Okay. Okay.
Because the projector doesn't have as high res as the
Right.
screen, or as this screen, that is. Okay, we'll go here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't want to do that. I want this. Show all, display, not the right one. Scaled. Confirm. And any moment here. Yes, there we go. Okay, so hit this green button here,
Okay.
and then I'll let you.
Okay. Great.
Right in your face.
It's probably perfect for you, however. I did not change your account back.
Oh.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Yes. We'll be streaming it live and recording it.
Okay. How does one get a link to it? Is it in the Canvas?
It is in the Canvas shell, so it's there right now, and then when the recording's done, the archive will be there on
Okay.
maybe 15, 30 minutes after the session's over.
Okay.
Brenna, here I'm gonna have you log in. I'm gonna have you log in.
Chord frenzy. Yes. So is it today at 1:29?
Yep, and I have it on the pulled over to the desktop, but we can
Okay.
open it from either location because I'll leave that in there.
Okay.
So we can open it from right there.
Is it working there?
Yep.
Awesome. And I think with any lock clickers forward and back, so this clicker is not working.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
We'll be pretty stationary. I'm sure it's no offense.
No, I think Kate is, but let me maybe use Swiffer's. We're going to begin here in another half minute, but I just want to ask you, please, if you have questions, you can ask questions anytime, but please raise your hand and let me know you want to ask questions because our distance participants cannot hear you without this microphone. So I'm going to bring the microphone to you. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Our next session is about the Citizen Science Portal WyoBio. And here are our presenters.
All right, thanks. Do I need to use this? Okay. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everyone. My name is Brenna Marsachek. I'm here from the Biodiversity Institute on campus.
And I am Teal Wyckoff, and I'm from the Wyoming Geographic Information Science Center, also here at the University of Wyoming.
So we're going to introduce to you a new citizen science and education website called the Wyoming Biodiversity Citizen Science Initiative, or WyoBio, as we call it. So this is a website that we launched in July of this year. It's still pretty new, and we're taking feedback from as many people as possible and seeing if we can make this even better. So if you have any suggestions along the way, please do let us know. The vision of this program is to create a place for people to access biodiversity data, or data about plants, animals, and fungi in Wyoming from anywhere. So this is through three primary goals. One is to allow people to contribute their own observation data. So if one goes on a hike or is in a schoolyard and sees a coneflower, they would be able to put this into the database and see it on a map right away, along with a bunch of other neat educational tools, and that would live in the database into perpetuity. This is related to the second goal, which is to create an online, safe, and consolidated repository of biological data in Wyoming. So there are a number of groups that collect this information across the state, whether it's on plants in Lander or birds outside of Sheridan, and they typically keep those data sets in those separate pools. So the goal for this is to bring all of those together and make them accessible to people, as well as create educational experiences for classes and the public that are meaningful and engaging and exciting.
And with that, I'm just going to introduce some of the partners in this project. So of course, there's a variety of folks that it takes and a variety of different data sets that it takes to drive an application like this. The UW Biodiversity Institute, where Brenna is from, is really the vision. They have provided the vision behind the development of WyoBio. They're also, of course, involved in the outreach as well as the educational components of this project. I'm here from the Wyoming Geographic Information Science Center. We are the technology end, or the builders of said application. The Wyoming Natural Diversity Database are our partners for data. So this thing is, when it was released just a couple of months ago, it already has a whole host of data in it, biological data that I'll show you here in a couple of minutes when we start to jump into the application. We also had a couple of committees that were involved in the development of this. One is the WyoBio Supplemental Curriculum Committee. They were involved in not only helping with curriculum development specifically to use a tool like this to help bring students out into nature or bring the classroom outside, but also with the ideas, some of the ideas behind how this application was built. Also, the WyoBio Advisory Committee. Now, this is a group of folks from around the state who are partnering with us to help us with feedback. They helped with the beta testing of this application, and they're also involved in the promotion of the tool. Part of this vision of WyoBio was to have a community of participants. First off, ownership of data. We wanted folks to, throughout the longevity of this data set, for these points that they add, to have their name tied to it. So once you contribute, or once your class contributes data, they are yours, and they are attributed to you. And that's something we wanted. These data are also publicly available. That was another goal. We want this information to be available across the board. And not only the data that folks are contributing as citizen scientists, but also to make some of these professional data sets that are out there more accessible to the public. Also, to provide a forum for inquiry, to be able to do some base level analysis of species information, and also to have a line of open communication with the organizers. So for those of us on the other end of it, or to have some of the biological folks, we want folks to be able to ask questions. If you are not finding a species that you are trying to identify and you want to ask folks on the other end, we want that to be a two-way street. That's really what we're going for here. We don't want this to be a black hole for data. And then also, to use these data in research. As this database starts to grow, not only from a professional perspective, having these data help in the range expansions of species or redoing range models in Wyoming, but also for classrooms to be able to download these data and ask research questions of their own.
So as Teal said, we worked with a committee of teachers to put together this application, and they really influenced the design and a lot of the components of the application so that we could make sure that it was relevant and important for teachers and usable in their classrooms. So a few key ways in which they influenced the development included to make it attractive and easy to use, which of course is a staple in all websites, but especially so when you're working with kids. So that was a top priority for us. To create lesson plans that are standards-based, that incorporate WyoBio and get kids outside and using technology, but meeting science standards at the same time. As well as coming up with what the map should include in terms of what layers we provide, what rich biological data is driving this, and how it can function and be engaging and attractive at the same time. And lastly, to be able to register as a group or a class rather than just individuals. We do this for a couple of different reasons. First of all, so we can protect the identity of the youth that are using this. So anyone who's 13 or younger can't register as an individual. But also so that teachers that are collecting data in their classroom can carry that over to the next year and the year after that. So if they're looking at the type of birds that they find in the schoolyard, they will have their current students collect data, then be able to do the same thing and add to the database the next year with their new students. So with that, we're going to jump to the website. So if you brought a computer or some sort of mobile device with you, please go to wyobio.org, and we'll show you, we'll give you a little tour of the website. So when you get there, you'll notice that this is the homepage. This little video that you see down here is an introduction to WyoBio, so that is a useful thing to watch. It's a couple minutes long when you're first getting started. And above that, you'll see this link to register. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to a page that will allow you to create your own account, either a personal one or one for your class. And once everyone is logged in, we'll move on to the tour. You go to the register. Yep. Unless you've been to WyoBio before. Has anyone heard of this yet? You have? Great. So if you already have an account, you can click the login and it'll achieve the same goal. So you can take a couple of minutes to create your account, and then once we have everyone ready to go, we'll move on. Is anyone having trouble registering? We don't need to create an event. Nope, that's not required. And you can change that information later in your profile section.
How are we doing? Are folks getting there? Should we keep going? Okay. Well, while you guys are finishing up, I'm going to jump into a brief introduction to the map portion or the mapping application of WyoBio. Now, when you click on the Map tab, whether you're logged in or not, you are presented first with a splash screen, and this has a variety of tips and tricks for how to use the application. If you're a new user and you're coming into this application on your own, I would recommend clicking through some of these to get some tips, and you can always refer to this later in the help document if you want to know a little bit more. So I'm going to click Continue to Application, and now we're looking at a map that's focused on Wyoming. All of the green dots are locations that have been added by citizens around Wyoming. And all of the pink dots, so right now we are logged in as Brenna Marsacek. So the pink dots are all observations that she has added. So in this case, anything that you as a user add when you are logged in will show up as pink, and everyone else's as green. You'll notice right off the bat that and I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the back of the room, but your cursor has a little question mark on it, and that means we can click on an observation and it'll bring up an information box about that. So here, Brenna has posted an observation of a greater short-horned lizard. We have some details about when she saw that species, what time of day, what time of year, etc. She has also uploaded a couple of pictures, and this is something we would highly encourage, especially if you get to a point where you have questions or you're not sure what species it is. Having the picture is extremely helpful, both for others to understand what that observation is, and then also if you're uploading something that you're not sure and need some help identifying. So those are the pictures. We could also click on a wiki link here and get some additional information about the species if we were curious. And I'm going to come back to the map. So that's kind of the basics behind each of the observations. Now I'm going to walk down the buttons that we have here on the right-hand side of the application. There's a few different help links up here at the top for reference later. The first tab here is for your observations. As I mentioned before, the pink dots. Here is where we can add an observation. So this is something we would, of course, encourage, even if you're out in your backyard, not necessarily even out on a hike, and you saw a species or something you wanted to contribute. This is where you would come. You would click on that tool and click on the map, and that's how you would add one. We can talk about that a little bit more later if you'd like. And actually, at the moment, I'm going to turn off our pink dots. The next button down, the binoculars, are everyone else's. So these are all of the other observations that have been added. We could download these if we wanted to. We could filter them by species name if we wanted to do that. I'm also going to turn those off for a minute just in preparation for the next tab I'm going to show you. Behind the magnifying glass are all of the professional data that I mentioned earlier. So the Wyoming Natural Diversity Database manages a large species observation database for the state of Wyoming, and they also develop range maps and distribution models, which I'll show you. So I'm going to come in here, I'm selecting an organism group of amphibian, and I'm going to come down and choose let's see, the Great Basin spadefoot. Let's see what we have for that one. And now I'm going to turn on a range map for that species. Looks like southwestern Wyoming. The polygons on here, are the pink, the dark pink areas are known areas where they exist, and the light pink is where they're suspected. The next one I'll turn on are the observation points for that species, and also a distribution model. So the pink dots are the known locations that have been contributed. And then the distribution model, you'll see that's a little bit more detailed than the range map. So this type of modeling takes into account all of the habitat characteristics that that species is known to require. And that is modeled and then put back on the landscape as they're, where they potentially could be, even though they haven't been observed there. And then we also have, as we talked about with the Education Committee and how they help direct this, there are a whole variety of additional data sets behind here. We have all kinds of administrative boundaries. If we wanted to find a particular state park, we could do so. Let's see, we could look at climate data if we were interested in total annual precipitation for the state, for example. That can be an informative one. We could also look at vegetation for species. So what are some of the different vegetation types that are found across Wyoming? Or perhaps we're interested in elevation or an elevation range for different areas of the state. One more thing that we can do here is change our base map. So, looking at the imagery can be very helpful, as any of you who use Google Maps or things like that are familiar with. Being able to see that imagery can be helpful. There are a few options there. A couple other things. It's, of course, useful to look at data out here at the statewide scale, but this kind of an application is really most useful when you're zoomed into your area of interest. So I've just clicked on my Shift key and used my mouse button to zoom in. We could have also used this plus and minus button to zoom in and out, or the home button to go back to the state if you get disoriented and need a reference. Or we could also try to use this Find My Location button. And I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to allow you to try to find where I am, computer. And let's see, how did it do? Oh, pretty good. It zoomed us right in here to Co-Library on the UW campus. So this is just a brief introduction to the application. Brenna is now going to take a look at some of the other resources of the website.
There are two other sections that I'll point out here. The first is the Education tab. So when you click on that, you'll see that this is where we have all of our information for teachers and classes. As soon as it loads. We have an information packet that you have in front of you. So this is the downloadable version if you want to share it with any of your colleagues or supervisors. We also have a list of lesson plans that our curriculum committee, the teachers that make up that committee, have put together or have had other people submit through this website. There's a section here where you can upload your own lesson plan if it incorporates WyoBio, and we will reformat it and repost it for other teachers to use. So this is obviously a small list with just this one here, but we really anticipate this growing. We have a few more in the works right now that are close to being posted, and anticipate a lot more coming down the pike. The last tab I'll show you is the Resources tab. In here, you'll find a number of avenues that you can take that will lead to helpful information. So one is a number of identification guides that are great for kids, that we've designed for kids, or that we provide because they're great resources either on the national level or at the state level for identifying organisms. We have a list of supplies that we recommend that you bring to the field with you if you go out. A set of protocols for collecting data on a number of organisms, and a set of links for other resources that are helpful, as well as this community section where it allows folks to participate in a forum that could be statewide or even international if you wanted to be so. So you could create a forum for all of the first graders of Wyoming, and they could, with the help of their teachers, post questions or ideas or a challenge to other first graders across the state, and anyone can participate in those communications. So with that, does anyone have any questions about the website as a whole or the application? Okay, so we're going to go back to this map section and skip through this welcome box. And we have an activity for everyone to participate in that will show you how WyoBio can be used. So our research question that we can use WyoBio to at least start exploring or maybe even answer is the northern tree lizard restricted to a certain elevation or vegetation type? So to start, let's turn off the citizen science observations. If you're on your computer, I recommend that you do this as well. Does anyone have any suggestions for how we would start this inquiry using WyoBio, given what you've seen? Okay, I'll get you, yeah, what's that?
Hold on.
Select an elevation layer?
Select the elevation layer, yep. So you can go into this map layer section here, the geology and elevation button will allow you to see more, and you can select elevation. With this, you can see that there's a little slider up here, and that changes the transparency of the layer, so you can go all the way up or all the way down. Depending on how many layers you have on at the same time, this could be helpful to have this transparency set all the way up or down. So we'll leave it about halfway. Okay, so we have the elevation component. Obviously, we can also turn on the vegetation type here. And this will kind of get messy, as you can see. How about to see where the northern tree lizard exists? So we can go into this magnifying glass that has all of the professionally collected data from wind, and we can search for the organism in here. So the lizard is a reptile. We'll choose that group to help narrow down the list. And from this second drop-down, we can select northern tree lizard. And we can either look at the range map. This is going to get really crazy here. Or we can look at observations, or at the model distribution. So I'm going to turn on, how about I turn on observations here? And then in these other two layers, I'm going to turn down the transparency so that we can see those observations, but still have this data available. Because as Teal said, when you have this little question mark next to your cursor, you can click anywhere on the map and it drills down all the way through those layers and can give you the information for each layer that you're looking at. So if we were to click on this little observation dot here, it would return, one second while it pops up. It will return the information on the layers that you have turned on. So in our case, the elevation here is 7,940 feet, or if you prefer meters, that's also available. And the vegetation type that we're in is juniper woodland. So for this organism, you can explore different ways to find answers to your questions or ask more questions about whatever you're looking at using the different layers and tricks and tools that are in this application. So we have a few more minutes if you want to, yeah, what's your question?
When people put their observations in, do they have to have a GPS or something like that in order to pinpoint where it is that they are when they make that species observation?
You don't have to. You can put in GPS units if you have that as part of your lesson, or if you always carry a GPS unit with you when you're out exploring, etc. But you can also, if you know where you were, just click a point on the map and that will pull up the units for you. So if you're outside of Rock Springs here, let's zoom in a little bit further. If I wanted to add an observation, I'll show you how this works here. So before I answer that, when you add an observation, it'll ask you if you have just one observation to put in or if you have a spreadsheet that you want to upload. We have a spreadsheet template available for people to use if they're collecting lots of information of organisms that they find in one particular spot. So you can upload all of those at once instead of going through and putting in 50 different observations. So in our case, we'll say that we don't have a spreadsheet. We also ask if this observation or the species is sensitive in any way. So if you had an endangered species, for example, that you found and you don't want to identify a certain location that you found it, you can click yes and it will scale up your your point, so it's no longer a point, but rather a box that sort of hides the exact location of where you found this. Ours, we'll say that we're going to put in a robin, so we'll say no. And here you can zoom in as far as you want to. Let's say that we found it in this little park right here, just at the end of the lane. So we can just click that point once, and that pulls up the GPS units for you. You can go through this whole process filling in as much information as you have. There are a few different boxes that you'll need to move through, so you can, again, go through this list of groups of organisms, so it narrows it down for you. And then in the next area, you can type in the species name, and let's say it was a robin. It will return everything that has robin in it for you. Or if you don't know the species, you can put a guess in here, or if you have, let's say, second graders and they just know that they saw a bunny, they can put bunny in here, and it will show that on the observation as what the organism was a bunny. You can put in the date and how many you saw, etc. And then here's a checkbox for clicking if you have an image. And like Teal said, it's really helpful and powerful to have images connected to this, so we really encourage folks to do that. And then as soon as you click save and close, it will show up on the map here as a pink dot. And you can click that dot and it'll show all the information that you just put in. Any other questions? Yeah.
How long have you been collecting data on this? For how long, when did you begin collecting data for this?
The citizen science data began in July when we launched this. So
2 months ago today.
2 months ago, right.
2 months ago today.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you look at this map here, I'll turn all these back on so you can see the citizen science dots. You can see that the whole state is not filled with dots, and that's because this is still pretty new, and we anticipate this growing a lot, and we already have a number of observations that are in here, and it will only get larger. So the citizen science data is just a couple of months, but the professionally collected data has been ongoing for years and decades.
Are wild horses considered a part of that?
So the
Are
question
wild
was,
horses
are wild horses considered a part of this data set? And I don't believe that the Wyoming Natural Diversity Database collects information on wild horses, but you can put in observations of any organism that you see. It doesn't matter if it's a plant or a bird, it doesn't matter at all. You can put it in fungi even. So if you see wild horses, I encourage you to put that in there. Anyone else? Does anyone here teach science classes? Great.
How connected is the database, like nationally? Is there plans to make, do other states have this going on already, or?
It's a great question. Teal, do you want to?
Sure. So yes, the plan down the road here is to have this be a two-way street, to have these data be incorporated into other national level applications of its kind. And then also so this application, by the way, is halfway through the project development phase. So this is phase 1. Phase 2, that's a part of, is also incorporating a lot of those other data sets into this. So for example, eBird data or iNaturalist data, being able to incorporate those into this application, and vice versa is certainly a plan. One of the ways that we can do that is by either on our end ingesting services that those other entities provide, and then on our end, our services are open. They can be pulled into other applications. So that's the plan. Sure. Brenna just asked me to outline what else is coming. So as I mentioned, we are at the end of phase 1, and phase 2 is in the works right now. So other things that are coming down the pike here include Some additional, so you'll notice, all of you guys who are on smaller screens or mobile apps, things like that, this application, although the website is responsive, the application is a little clunky if you're trying to use this on a cell phone. One of the next big things we're doing is developing an app for both iOS as well as Android systems. So having that level of technical ability to be able to take into the field with you is something that is a big next step. So responsive, making this thing a little bit more responsive design. And with that, I think we are at our time, so thank you.
If you're interested in taking more information packets or brochures with you, if you think your colleagues might be interested, we have a number of them up here, so feel free to grab some more. Good, yeah, thank you. So we're just in the next
Check, check, check. 1, 2.
Can you test the computer sound when you have a moment?
Yep. Check. Check, check.
Testing. Testing. And the blue cat jumped over the black moon. A little more. I was just holding on to it then. Okay.
Keep checking.
Check, check. Check. Is that loud enough? Okay. And let me
Keep checking on it.
test, test, test. Hello, hello, hello.
Stand
Test.
where you'll be talking.
Okay, I'll go over here.
3:30, right?
To 3:30, yes.
Okay.
Test, test. Let's see if I stand right here, I'll be in the middle. Test, 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 test. He's fiddling with the settings to get them just right. Test, test, test. Let's do this. I wasn't going to nerd. We'll play something right now.
Okay, Glass. Record a video.
Hello? Hello?
Testing. You guys we are. So if we go late, which we already are. I'm 1 minute. See, I got out last. I haven't started.
Check, check, check. Cool.
Have you ever played it? You know, oh my gosh. It's an awesome game. We're talking about how great will the new Silent Hill be. On war. Yeah, it's the new prototype came out this weekend. Cold weather. Yeah. If PlayStation does that right, they probably could.
Check, check, check. Good. That's good.
All right, I think we're good.
Cool.
I remember the first time they did that.
Wearable tech. Exploring with glass, or yeah.
My wife loves Samsung. Like I got this. Their VR headsets is compatible with that. I think that's the that.
I think hers, you can still use the S5.
That's the same laptop you just used, right?
No, it's a different one. It's the same content.
Yeah, let's check.
Sorry.
Cool. So.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Stan, and this is the last session of the day of what I've had a great conference. Everybody else have a good conference? All right. This is a great way to end it. Talking about some new technology that's coming out, wearables, and we have Cody, who is a high-speed instructional technology education specialist doing cool things in outreach. And Jeffrey, I just met. He is an instructional technologist assistant, training to be high speed, and doing a great job. So turn it over to these guys.
Great, thanks.
Yes, test. Thank you guys for being here. So let's give you a brief overview of how this session will go. We have about 20 minutes of information for you, and then we'll actually give you a chance to try out Google Glass. Stan also brought a Google smartwatch too, so if you want to play with that, you can. And Tanya Duce, a faculty member from the College of Education, who is no longer new, brought her glass as well. So you'll be able to try ours on as well as hers and learn from her experiences too. I wanted to just briefly mention that Athena helped us put this presentation together, and she's out on bereavement leave. She can't be here, but she also is very knowledgeable about Google Glass. So if you have questions at the end of the presentation, you can contact any one of us for more information. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Jeffrey.
Okay, hi. So today our topic is wearable tech, exploring with Google Glass. And I'm sure many, or if not all of you, have heard of wearable technology by now, whether it be smartwatches or Bluetooth headsets or fitness trackers or smart glasses even. I'm sure you've heard of it. Wearable technology is a category of technology that allows the user to physically wear and interact with the device while the device collects and displays information about the user and in the environment around them. Earlier this year, Google introduced Android Wear, which is an Android-based operating system designed specifically for smartwatches and other wearables. Apple had their keynote this month that they do every year, and they introduced the Apple Watch, which runs software that's based off of iOS. Motorola also introduced the Moto Hint, which is a Bluetooth headset that wirelessly connects to your phone and allows you to control your phone's actions based on your voice. So there's all sorts of wearable technology going on. And of course, Google Glass, which is perhaps the most well-known piece of wearable technology that's been recently introduced. It was officially introduced early last year, but only to a select group of individuals that were referred to as Google Glass Explorers. They were called that because they opted into a beta program that Google had set up. Today, however, anybody can be a Google Glass Explorer if you so choose. As of May 15th of this year, Google said that anybody was allowed to purchase it. So that means myself or any one of you could go buy Google Glass today if you wanted, provided you were willing to give up $1,500 for it. So that being said, why would anybody want to pay $1,500 for a pair of glasses? Well, essentially what Google Glass does is it displays information in a smartphone-like context while being hands-free in your line of vision. It is connected to the internet, and it allows you to control it entirely based on voice commands. It's one thing to tell you what it does, but it's another thing to show you, so we've got a video prepared for that.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
This is it. We're on in 2 minutes.
Okay, Glass, hang out with the Flying Club.
Google photos of tiger heads.
You ready? You ready?
Right there. Okay, Glass, take a picture.
That is awesome.
Okay, Glass, record a video! Google Jellyfish.
Well, let's see.
It's beautiful.
So really cool, right? Just to be able to see that experience or see what that's like to wear Google Glass. And the reason we chose to show that video is that sometimes I think for many of us, if you're like me, being able to see that experience is better than telling someone about it. So now that we've seen what Google Glass can do, I want to just give you a quick walkthrough of the parts that make up Google Glass and what makes it work. So here on the very back, you'll see there's a battery, or this large thing here that it contains the battery. And we'll talk more about the battery because it seems like a very large piece of Google Glass, but even still not adequate. And then directly on the opposite side of the battery here on the back is a bone conduction speaker. So when you're wearing Google Glass, you can hear sound coming from it, but it doesn't have an earphone. It actually vibrates against your skull, and people smarter than me will know or do know how bone conduction works, but for the user experience, it's almost like there's just sound inside your head somewhere. It's a very surreal kind of experience. And then on the right-hand side here is a touchpad, and if you are using a smartphone, you are probably familiar with the swiping function, so you can swipe forward, backwards, up, or down, and that's how you control the user interface. And then moving forward on the device, there is a microphone here on the inside. Attached to this microphone is also a sensor that I haven't quite figured out what it is or what it does yet, but it somehow knows how close the device is to you, or your person rather. And then of course, one of the most controversial features of Glass is the camera in the front. It takes about 5 megapixel pictures and is capable of recording video at 720p, so pretty high quality video. And then of course, one of the few buttons on the device is the camera button, which allows you to quickly take pictures. If you hold the camera button down, you can also go into video mode. And then the most important feature of the device is this prism that is on this bendable arm here. And what's really cool about this prism is that it overlays what you're seeing, or what Glass is displaying, over reality. So it kind of gives you a transparent background. So just like the video here, this is an example of someone wearing Google Glass. They have this in navigation mode. So you can see that map is visually overlaid over that terrain there. But I was really curious about how Google Glass works. Apparently in this little arm is a small projector that's projecting an image on that prism, and that allows it to be overlaid over reality. And this uses the fovea, and I'm not sure I'm saying that right, which is the part of the eye that allows you to see up close images sharply. I was kind of curious when I first got Glass to see if it'd be possible, or to see if there'd be any blurriness. And I wear contacts, so I was also very curious to see if there was any problems with that, but so far I haven't experienced any. These come with a pair of sunglasses, and you can actually see the prism through the sunglasses too. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Jeffrey for video and photos.
So one of the biggest advantages Google Glass has over the conventional smartphone is the user experience that Cody kind of touched on a minute ago. The user experience is, well, you got to see it for yourself. That video really highlights how you can really step into the shoes of the individual who's wearing Google Glass, which makes it great for sharing with friends and family and being able to display that kind of information. You can, of course, also upload all that to social media, Twitter or YouTube, and Google Plus and more to come, I'm sure. You're able to do all of this directly from the Glass, and it's a fairly seamless experience. It's really nice to be able to see. So if say, a student were ever over doing a study abroad program, he could come back and tell his family about it, or he could quite literally show them exactly what some of his experiences were like, which is pretty incredible.
When I met you in the summer, to my heartbeat sound, we fell in love as the leaves turn brown. And we could be together, baby, as long as skies are blue. You act so innocent now, but you lied so soon. When I met you in the summer,
No. Let's try that again. There we go. This gives you a very brief example of how easy it is to record video in first person. Athena and I recorded some of those shots on a trip this summer, just to test and see how difficult it would be to capture those Google Glass and then to edit them into something usable later. So with that, I want to move on to the next feature, which is the ability to utilize Glass to get real-time information. As I walked through the parts of Google Glass, one of the things I didn't mention was a cellular chip. So what Google Glass does is it connects to your existing smartphone. So my iPhone is over there, and Glass is Bluetooth tethered to my phone, and it uses my phone's data connection to bring the internet to Glass. And with that, I can search or Google, so you are talking to Glass, say, okay, Glass, Google the weather in Dallas. And it will actually give you that information just as it would in a Google search, but it formats it for the Glass display. We think this can be really useful for searching for local information or location-based information. As we saw in the video in the very beginning, you can also search for images. I think that I'm not quite sure exactly how we can use it in education, but I think there are some cool uses to explore there. This is just an example of an image, the weather in Dallas, so walking down the street and feeling a little hot, asking Glass, what's the weather like outside? And you can see as you're walking, it gives you that contextual information there. And with that, the next segment where we see perhaps some really cool features or cool usage is with augmented reality. And that's with GPS. So I don't know if many of you in the audience are directionally challenged, but I am. Getting around in a big city is difficult for me because I have no sense of direction. Google Glass allows you to use the GPS chip inside your smartphone and the data inside your smartphone to get directions to pretty much anywhere. And because it's using Google Maps, it's incredibly accurate. And because Google Maps has walking and biking and driving directions, they brought that to Google Glass so that no matter how you're trying to get around, you have a way to do that. So this is an example of me walking in Dallas. I'm trying to walk from my hotel to a museum that was downtown. And you can see I'm looking down this street here, and that's indicated by that blue triangle there. And this does have a compass somewhere, and so it's telling me I need to turn right and keep going on that blue path forward and not down this street in order to find my way. Another app that's really cool is called Word Lens, and that's available on Glass right now. It's also available on your phone, so if you have an iPhone or Android device, this app exists. And you can see this person is looking at a piece of paper that says, translate the world. And what you're seeing up there on the far right-hand side is the Glass display that's in real time translated that Spanish into English. Google acquired this company in April, so we're expecting really exciting things coming out of this, perhaps maybe a default integration or default app included in the Google Glass bundle. But again, this app exists on iPhone and Android right now. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Jeffrey.
All right, so we're going to watch a video.
Being disabled is the first thing people see. And of course, it's a big part of my reality. But it's not who I am. It's not the only thing I am. Disability doesn't define me.
2 weeks ago, I became a Glass Explorer. It meant I could do things I thought I wouldn't be able to do anymore. Take a picture. And that's forever.
The last time I tried to go camping was the time I was in a car accident. Okay, Glass, Google, what is a felling axe? And here I am, a year and a half later. This trip will be the first time I'm apart from a caregiver for more than just a few hours.
In 600 feet, turn left.
Glass allows me to regain that confidence. And when I overcome a challenge,
hey, we're here!
Like becoming the navigator,
That's how you did it.
I gain a little bit of that confidence I had before the accident back. And that doesn't go away.
We need marshmallow sticks. Are there bears in the Catskills? Take a picture. Being here with my friends is really meaningful. Yeah, it's awesome. Because these people have supported me and been with me the whole time. Okay, Glass, take a picture. It's been amazing to feel a sense of independence in nature with people I love. Okay, Glass, share with family. Thank you. I'm Alex Blashchuk. I'm a law student, an amateur photographer, more than meets the eye.
I think that video really speaks for itself on what Google Glass is capable of doing when it comes to accessibility. Glass can nearly become an extension of yourself to where you might be able to live a lifestyle that you were never able to live before, and that's pretty incredible. So with that, we'd like to discuss a little bit about what our take on Google Glass was. Cody and I have both had the opportunity to be able to use Google Glass. I personally for a little over a week now and have been using it daily. And so some of the pros is it's portable. Anywhere you have a data connection, if your smartphone can be there, then so can Glass and be working for you, which is pretty awesome. And plus it has the whole voice command system, and so you don't really need to interact with it a whole lot except by just telling it what to do, which is actually the second pro. The voice commands are incredibly handy. The other night I was driving around and using them, and it tells you directly, keep your eyes on the road, which very much did, but as I was driving, it was nice to have that navigation to take me where I needed to go, so that voice activation really helps with that.
Absolutely. One of the other things that I really liked, am I on it again? I'm not. I am? Okay, sorry. One of the things I really liked about Google Glass was the video capabilities. There's something really special, I think, about first-person video, being able to capture that. I work with a number of different faculty at UW, and I think there's a big difference between telling somebody something and being able to show that. So for example, just one of the things that popped up as we first got Google Glass was in a women's studies class, trying to demonstrate to somebody a male walking down the street and watch people walk out of their way. And you could capture that with Google Glass, and then you could easily compare that to giving Google Glass to a female and having her walking down the street and seeing people not walk out of her way. And that's just a very simple example of trying to bring a first-person experience to someone. So its ability to capture video, I think, is one of the pros. But we would be remiss if we didn't say this is really a beta product, and we do not recommend running out and buying one today. It's not really ready for consumer use. And probably the most important thing to remember on that list is that you need to have a tethering plan for your phone, and you need to be able to have a smartphone that is capable of providing data to Glass. If you have an iPhone, mine is jailbroken, and I'm using Verizon to make that work. On an Android, it's really designed to work seamlessly with Android, and on Android that experience is much better. But that's the first thing to keep in mind, is that you need to have it paired with a smartphone in order to have a data connection to take advantage of many of the features that really make Glass compelling.
On top of that, it definitely could use some work in the battery life department. Even with this big thing sticking out of the back of your skull, it tends to die a little quicker than one would hope. Like I said, when I was navigating the other day, it was the end of the day and I had about 35% battery life left, and I navigated to Safeway, not that I don't know where that is, but I used it, and from my house to Safeway, it dropped from 25% all the way down to 7%, which really amazed me. So you can see that a lot of the battery intensive tasks like navigation or recording video really drains battery life and isn't too good about that. On top of that, there's pretty limited functionality in terms of apps and programs that are available for it. You can download an app, it's called My Glass, that both Cody and I have installed on our phones, that you can select from a list of apps, and it's pretty short. So I'm sure that will expand in the future, but as of right now, it can only do so many things. Incredible things, but only so many.
Absolutely. One of the other things that we don't like is the sensitive UI. So that trackpad, which you would think, because we're all the majority of us are smartphone users, right? Swiping back and forth would be really easy. Because there's no other way to interact with the device, to go back to find pictures or videos that you recorded, we see that as a con. And I'm hoping that because this is a beta product, Google will improve that user experience and provide us with better ways to interact with Glass.
On that note regarding sensitivity, that kind of tends to make the UI a little less intuitive than one would hope. You swipe back and forth between different cards that display, but a first-time user might have trouble deciding where he needs to go as he's going between these individual cards. It doesn't really demonstrate how to get to options or how to adjust each setting or how to order the apps or anything like that. And so Yeah, once you get used to it, you can figure it out relatively easily. But setup is for a first-time user would probably take some time to figure that all out.
Yes, and as Jeffrey already mentioned, these cost $1,500. I think that's probably prohibitively expensive for many of us. We're expecting that the consumer version of Glass will be available later this year, and chances are we'll see something from a third-party vendor, whether that be Sony or HTC or Motorola. There'll be a number of, hopefully, a number of different examples to choose from the market. I think we could see this selling well at between $200 and $300, but I think it'll take us a year or so to get there. I've heard that Sony, from our keynote yesterday, we're coming out with a Google Glass-like thing soon, around $750. Whether that's accurate or not, we're not sure, but that's what Robbie passed on to us. So with that, we'll move on to the demo. If you guys want to try and test to see what it's like to wear Google Glass, we have 3 pairs here. And I'm going to attempt to connect it to my phone and display it on the projector. Unfortunately, it's vertical instead of horizontal, so you won't be able to see that perfectly. But if anyone would like to come see what it's like to experience Google Glass, or if you have questions about its use or about our experience with it, we're certainly willing and definitely welcome them. Oh, let me get you a microphone here real quick. Ben, do we have a microphone? Oh, Stan's got it. Perfect. Oh, perfect. Test. Yes. Okay.
Well, I'd like to try.
Oh, perfect. Sorry.
Anyone want to try? Got another
You got
pair.
my
Here.
box to try, so.
Oh. I'll just have it. I'll say it in here.
Is the voice recognition pretty accurate?
If you tilt your head up.
Yes. So in my experience, the voice recognition is way better than like Siri. I have fits with Siri, but the Google voice recognition is great.
Try tapping it. There you go. There you go.
Who are authorized to use. Does it not recognize? Did it?
So is it loading up now?
It should be. Hard to tell what's going on.
And if you
What
want to
does it
try out
say? What do
Stan's
you think?
smartwatch too, he's brought
dying?
that to demo as well.
Okay, touch it again. Say, OK Glass, check the battery life.
What does
Check the battery life.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Swipe left, or my bad, sorry, swipe down. There you go.
I see.
There you go. Yeah, see, it takes a second. But
That's OK Glass.
there you go.
OK Glass.
So any other questions?
Search for Oculus Rift.
There you go. Nice.
Yes.
Is the design only for your right eye? It looks like you have right eye design.
Yes.
Did
So
you get it?
Google
It's
Glass
pretty good.
is
I found that the
designed
voice
solely
recognition
for
is actually
right-eye
really
use.
good. I haven't
I have,
had hardly any issues with
sent
it.
them a couple
I'm sure in a
emails
really
about
noisy environment,
being able to reverse
it'd
the
be
model.
difficult, but
Like for example, my mom is
Anyone-
deaf. in
anyone
her
here
right
wanna
ear,
try?
So Google Glass doesn't work for her. And I've encountered a couple people who are blind or have vision problems in their right eye. So as of right now, it's only for right.
When you say
eye
OK
usage
Glass,
or-
it should pop up a
yes.
list of commands.
But
that
I
you can
expect
do.
that they'll fix that, and if not, a third party will fix that soon. Actually, that's an interesting story. So
it's an experimental
turn off my mic.
setting that I just enabled, and so I haven't played with it that much. But if you lift your head up, it's supposed to turn it on, and then if you're supposed to nod your head down, it's supposed to turn it off. But I haven't tried the nod your head down thing. The head up thing works pretty well for me, though.
So when you say OK Glass, like right when it turns on?
Yeah, the screen has to display when you say OK Glass. It has to say in quotes.
It doesn't concern me as much as the price is the only thing.
The bone conduction's kind of weird too. Did you notice that? Can you feel it talking to you? That was kind of interesting because I had some headphones on and had the glass on and was walking and listening to music, and I told it to do something and I could still hear it because of the bone conduction. It was really weird, but pretty cool.
They have got to order up batteries before it goes commercial.
Well, here's one thing, like, I bet
If there's any profanity on that, sorry. I use it to text people and stuff.
there's always things to third market batteries. But then again, the way third market batteries have been going, they've been blowing up in everyone's phones.
Yes.
They're so touchy anymore.
For sure.
Very
true.
Keeps track of like your buying stuff like that.
Yeah, it Google stuff and just Yeah, I think it does pretty much anything that your phone with, like an Android phone with Google Now will do. You know, it'll pull up all the car weather and stuff, tracking packages and stuff nearby and all sorts of stuff.
So as you guys are all done here, get in line for trying the glass, whatever you want. If you're on campus and you want to try them, we have them up in Outreach, and you can come try them another day. We actually gave them to the libraries for a week or so, so if you want to try that, let us know. Other than that, thank you very much for coming. This is the last event, so we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
For $1,500, it better.
And I absolutely agree with you, for sure. I mean, $1,500 for an extension of your phone is kind of excessive, you know. And that's the way I see it, is it extends what your phone can do. Really cool stuff, but you know, for $1,500, should make my coffee for me in the morning.
Interesting, I was telling you, when I was watching a video, they were showing how, like, in the future, fire dispatch could actually use those.
Oh yeah.
They're going into a building and actually pulling names and stuff.
We actually were going to show that video. It's a good video. I thought it was way cool. I can't remember why we didn't.
Maybe switch that one out with the swimming pool one.
Maybe.
That was a little
I think they just wanted to show off their trip, you know. I think that was what that was about.
Oh, I see.
I wasn't part of that.
Yeah,
I
so
really
you can
like
connect
that
it with Google Hangouts and send it live, or send a live video from Google
it's
Glass
awesome. I like when she
to a
takes a
Hangout.
picture and gets really
So
stoked
in the
about
demo
it.
video there, we saw the person in the plane was connected to someone at home, and he could see them, and they were seeing in real time his flight.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Or like,
Definitely
or like if you used location
right
services,
now,
and as soon as you were
at a
on the
medical
campus,
school
it immediately was
for-
like,
at a medical
you're
school
here,
for
you
filming
wanna
surgeries.
need help? That'd be cool. Yeah, definitely.
For training. I think that's really cool.
Right. Yeah, that would be way cool.
Sure.
That'd be so handy. We're trying to come up with a list of things that these could potentially be used for, you know, and that's